I'm Lisa Pickering, and welcome to CITV's Press Talk. Here's the most recent news and information from the government of Bermuda.
Good morning, everyone. As a community, we all want what is best for our families and for our people. Ours is a common journey with a common purpose. Ours is a common destiny. We can only achieve what is best together as a community, as one people united. We believe we are on the right track. With that understanding, Children First is the driving principle behind the Ministry of Education's ongoing transformation of the public school system. The goal of all of our efforts, as set out in the speech from the throne, is to improve student achievement. As outlined in the speech from the throne, we know that teachers are the critical element in the classroom, and that it is the ministry's plan to continue our efforts to improve the value of teaching and quality of learning. There will be ongoing support for our mathematics and literacy strategies for quality teaching practices. Our first target is the completion of initiatives already underway: the 3-year school improvement plan and the implementation of the Danielson framework for improved curriculum teaching, the application and implementation of tools for consistent grading, improving the utilization of the Bermuda College STEM Center, improving communication and methods to achieve greater parental involvement, the extension of the multi-tier system for support for student behavioral interventions, and addressing facility challenges highlighted in the community-led score report. Allowing a child to progress through the system without demonstrating a sufficient grasp of concepts for developing their skills to acceptable levels ensures continuing academic struggle and, as life continues, potential problems of functionality. The ministry will end the practice of social promotion where it exists as a means of ensuring that suitable and adequate development takes place. This said, our focus will be on continuing to identify and address any challenges our students may face and provide the necessary support. Separately, by way of City and Guilds, the ministry will consider ways of implementing alternative pathways for student success. This program utilizes an applied methodology, i.e., technical education. It is our intention to increase and diversify scholarships and awards for students who pursue post-secondary educational studies. The intent is to take into account additional requirements for granting awards, such as student innovation, creativity, talent, determination, leadership, and financial need. The Ministry of Education will produce a plan of action to improve the quality and prevalence of in-school information technology. We will bring together staff, parents, community members, and the Board of Education to develop a community-owned strategic plan. The plan will lay down a path for ongoing transformation of public education and will focus on implementable and achievable priorities and goals to help prepare our students for continued success. All the good work the ministry and the department is undertaking is based on perhaps the most important aspect of service a government can provide, and that is to educate its children so that they may learn to improve themselves and guide them to find ways to live in an often difficult and complex world so that they will become fully utilized members of society. Putting our children first is not a passing whim, nor is it an empty promise. By putting children first, we put society first. Educated children grow up in turn to raise educated adults. Ensuring that our children have a first-class education that allows them to compete both locally and internationally enables them to grow as people and as members of their families and the community. No matter how well this government succeeds on its twin-track approach to economic and social affairs, and we are succeeding, progress will be limited if we do not make the education of our children our first priority. Everything this government has done, is doing, and will continue to do is intended to benefit all Bermudians. Raising the general standard of education in the community is the greatest work a government can accomplish. Thank you.
Now, the ministry's pledging to end the practice of social promotion. It's been praised by many charities in the community. How will that be implemented?
Well, I think there are a couple of things that we have to keep in mind, and notice I said where it exists, because that practice has not been as widely practiced as some may assume. Our focus has been on reaching children where they are and providing the help that they need so that we are not in a position where you have to hold a child back. I mean, it would be ideal if you never had to do that at all. But things like the multi-tiered system of support, which addresses behavioral issues, and we're looking to expand that. Standard-based grading is very critical to this whole process because you have to have consistency across the board to ensure that if a child gets work that's handed in one classroom in one school is not an A in one place, a C in another place, and something different elsewhere. So those are things that the ministry is doing and will continue to do to ensure that we are reaching children where they are and providing the necessary support they need for success.
Are you worried that there might be higher dropout rates due to children being discouraged from not being promoted after failing certain year levels?
You know, when I first became the Minister of Education, one of my first meetings were with the head students at Cedar Bridge and Berkeley. And I asked them, as a minister, what can I do to help to improve education for you? And it was three things that consistently came out. Quality programming, and consistency and making sure that they're aware of what their options are earlier in the game, like in middle school and their first year of high schools and not when they're in S2 and S3. And they also mentioned social promotion, encouraged to continue to reach out to students where necessary, but not all students learn the same. And it is in their best interest to get the support and the extra help where needed. And if not, then take the time to effectively grasp the concepts because that is something that comes back to haunt them later on. So that was coming directly from the students. So I believe that we are on the right track.
I understand there's a meeting held by the ministry this evening. Could you give us the details?
Yes, it's a parent meeting this evening that's going on because one of the things that we've said consistently is that we want to reach out to the community more. We want the parents to understand a lot of the initiatives that are going on and to get feedback directly from them.
What's your reaction? Were you disappointed at the knee-jerk reaction of the Union of Teachers to your throne speech?
No, Brian. I think that everyone is entitled to have their opinion of things, and that's something that I expect. What's interesting, however, when I look at the union's letter, what they were, or their response, what they were really saying from my perspective is let's go and let's reach the kids, let's provide the support that they need so that we can arrest issues earlier and address them. And I fully agree with that, and that is something that the ministry is in fact doing.
Just because I'm not too clear on what social promotion means, is that everyone automatically at the end of the year, school year, moves on to the next year? Is that social promotion?
Generally, yes, but there are exceptions to every rule, right? There are some. Let's take an extreme case where you have a developmentally challenged child that unfortunately will never reach a level above elementary school. That does not mean that they stay in elementary school for all of their life. There are programs that we have in place for that. But I think what happens more often than not is we have children, excuse me, for whatever reason or not, are not engaging and need that extra support. And if they're not getting that extra support and continue to move on, what you'll find is that, if you have a child that can't read effectively, as they continue to get in higher grades and they're being asked to read something in class, well, their response is just going to be to act out because they don't want that embarrassment. But if we identify those challenges earlier on with the children, and a lot of times behavioral issues have to do with challenges even academically. Let's reach those challenges. Let's provide the extra support, because the ultimate goal is to ensure that our children have a good education. And we need to reach all children where they are. And every child does not develop at the same level.
Minister, I just had a question about the City and Guilds. How do you see that being integrated into the public school system?
Well, we're working on it. So we do have a City and Guilds Center at Bermuda College, as an example. What we've found is, and it's no big surprise, is that all children are not going to develop the same way. And there are children that will, if they're going through applied or technical learning, will be engaged and learn. Ultimately, these programs take you to the same place for IGCSEs. But we have to provide alternative pathways for students, because every student is not going to go one path for learning. And that is something that has been talked about in our community for a long time. And we recognize that and need to do something about it.
I just have one question. The opposition stated in their reply that they want to end the perception of the two Bermudas that we have here. Is it the ministry's intention to close the gap in quality education between the public schools and the private schools?
Absolutely, that's always our intention. My view is that public education should be a viable first choice, and there should not be a quality deficit between one and the other. And I would argue that we have some programs, even at our senior schools, that are far superior to what happens in the private schools in certain areas. What we have to do is ensure that we have that consistently across the board, and that is what our goals are.
You've been watching Press Talk right here on CITV. Join us next time for your government's news and information. I'm Lisa Pickering.